Are you asking about Cecil County veterans or any veterans?
Whatever veterans that are currently going to be able to go into that, those homes. I don't know if they're going to draw them from other states, from outside other counties, but they have a picture of here's 50 available possible homes. Now, if they could fill those with people that have already addressed those concerns, that's one issue. If they're saying, well, we have all these homes available, and there's nobody who has addressed their alcohol problem, that's another issue. What I'm trying to find out is.
It's a real good question. We've been running the BASH program. My office has been operating the BASH program since 2008. We've had very few actual, quote unquote, Cecil County residents, homeless veterans participate in that. The vast majority have been from outside of Cecil County and outside the state.
I think the general fear is that there isn't as many veterans in need that want this type of housing, and that the developer will say, well, I tried, now I'm just going to put anybody in there, anybody, homeless people, anybody at all that I can get in there that I can get federal vouchers from and get paid, because they don't want to sit on a vacant property. Nobody wants it. No landlord wants to sit on a vacant property. So their fear is they'll just fill those homes with just anybody off the street that can qualify for the vouchers.
Thus the impetus of my question.
And that's it's an excellent question, Mike. Particularly if you understand the tax credit program in general, that if you do not fill those units as rapidly as possible within 1 year, you then have to start paying back the tax credits. Your investors become very irritated when that occurs, because not only do you pay back, but there are also fines involved that are levied against the project.
Dr. Mahaney, is there any way to find that data that Doug Smith was asking for?
Well, in market studies, I have not seen any of the market studies yet that have been.
I've actually just recently been appointed, and Monday I won't be able to go to this because I'm attending the first Veterans Task Force in Annapolis for whether there should be a veterans court system. So some of that data may be available as to veterans who are homeless and such and needing, and it's a good overlap. So if I get any of the data, I'll be glad to share it.
I'd like that. That'd be helpful. But just to share with this table, if I could for a minute, when I start looking at the initial project that was in the last one, I believe that was on the table, that it was going to be a 60% tax credit project. The vast majority of the homeless veterans that we have been assisting fall within the 30 percentile. So I'm just wondering, well, gee, we have a project here in Cecil County that has a huge vacancy rate, and they're in, I would say, significant distress. I mean, at times the grass was at least approximately this high, 3 to 4 feet, and we had to go and threaten the complex with sanctions and abatements of rents unless they cleaned up. And that's a relatively new tax credit project. So again, my concern gets raised. Another straight 60% project, do we need it? We just had 4 new projects approved, giving the veterans as well as families more choice than they've ever had. And they'll start coming out of the ground. Yeah, they're in the permit process, so it's just a matter of maybe just a few weeks. There are 2 in the northeast area, 1 in Rising Sun, 1 in Cecilton. Again, there's a lot of units coming online, so it raises the question, what will the market studies show? Is there a real need? Not to get cynical, but I've seen people massage, I guess is the politically correct word maybe, statistics to make it appear that their projects look great, and then they have difficulties.
Won't this project also create a whole lot more services, demanding of more our services that we have to provide?
That is one of the fears, Councilman.
Are there any other questions or comments? This one?
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. This next topic, we have Ken Collins and Robin Waddell from the Health Department to act as resources should there be some questions, and also Sheriff Barry Janney and Major Tarr from the Sheriff's Office. Clearly law enforcement is an important part of the drug treatment, but Councilwoman Burrell, do you want to lead out on that topic?
Are they here to, would you like to come up? Since becoming elected, this is one of the biggest issues that I've faced. And I've seen that it's one of the biggest issues that Cecil County is facing. And if we can address this issue, it's going to help on our law enforcement side, on our social services side, on just so many different levels. We've held 2 forums so far, and I think about 4 workshops. And from the forums, we've seen that consequences are important for the motivation for people to get help. And that's on the law enforcement side, and it's also on the drug treatment side. I was pleased to see that we are actively pursuing the HIDA designation. That's going to afford us more resources in fighting the drug problem. Sheriff Janney, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, if I could. Good afternoon, good morning. Thank you for inviting me here today. HIDA, for most of you, it's a high-intensity drug traffic area. About 2 years ago, I contacted Mr. Tommy Carr. He is the director of HIDA. He's also retired from the Maryland State Police, a very good friend of mine. And I inquired about HIDA and if HIDA would be good for Cecil County. And at that time, I was told that we would probably have to assign some Cecil County Sheriff's Office deputies. They may be away from the county. There could be some funding along those lines if they had the personnel at that particular time. So we did not move at that particular time with HIDA because I was concerned about our deputies leaving Cecil County, maybe work in other areas in the state or Northern Virginia. HIDA is primarily assigned to the federal people are assigned to Northern Virginia, the Baltimore, the Washington area. Here of recent, over the last year or two, they realized the drug problem has moved further north. And so now they're inviting other law enforcement agencies to participate. Most recent one that just got on board was Harford County in 2011. In September of this year, we met with HIDA representatives, thanks to Diane Brummel, helping set this up. They come up and put a presentation on at the Cecil County Sheriff's Office. It's not as easy as just saying, we want to be on board with you all, we'd like for your help, we'd like for your manpower, we'd like for your money. We had to fill out an application, and you have to meet their criteria. In other words, you have to prove to them that you're in an area where there is a high drug activity. We submitted our application. We are now in an area with high drug activity. We are in the process now with Frederick County. We put it in first. Frederick County has since put it in after us. We believe that we are going to meet the criteria for their assistance, which could mean additional personnel. I've been told that they've had some resources that have been cut, so we're not guaranteed it, but and we've been told that there's a very good chance that we will be partnering with HIDA, and it could happen as early as July. Now they meet, their board meets in January once a year, and it wouldn't be fair for them to bring us on board and then later bring Frederick County. So if everything goes well, we'll be on board by July with Frederick County getting federal assistance in regards to that.
Thank you. So as I've mentioned before, the nuisance law is, I've been getting feedback from the public that is something that they would like us to pursue, and relating with landlord issues, either mandating a background check on tenants, to where we could also sue for breach of lease, and, evict certain tenants, forcing the landlord to, that was the same thing. Well, since that's something that I just realized that we can pursue on our own, we'll be doing that. Related to the drug treatment facilities now, this is what I've had, discovered, that, the counselor-client ratio is, 50-1 currently for drug treatment facilities, and it's not consistent with level 1 treatment where the counselor-client ratio is currently 40-1. Was wondering if, the state delegation could look into that and possibly change that, I don't know, is that a law that you could change on your level, or is that something that is part of their executive?
I think you need to take that to the council. The council needs to say they want that for their legislative agenda, and then the council would present it to us, and we would then vote on it or look at it. But I think it's gotta go through the council to decide whether they wish to present that to us.
Okay. And I will also bring before the council that, it be reevaluated what a clean urinalysis test is. While they say they're clean for opiates, they don't check for cocaine and other drugs. So that is something else that we can do to, make it more effective.
Councilwoman, are you
Yeah.
talking about people just in public housing, or are you talking about everybody?
No, this is drug treatment,
Okay, just in a drug treatment center.
exactly. The clean urinalysis is, where you would assume that that definition is with, multiple drugs.
That's gonna be a state issue.
That is a state? Okay.
I think it's gonna be a state and possibly even a federal issue as to how they test for people who are in drug treatment.
Okay. And then the prescription drug monitoring program will be holding I've requested a meeting with our federal legislatures to review that as well. That we have a more effective implementation of prescription drug monitoring, and also have communication with our neighboring states in sharing information. Is there anything on the state level that we would be needing to pursue?
Actually, I've looked into some of this, there was a local pharmacist who brought some of the issues, and part of the problem we have is that people who have the Maryland insurance, are going into Delaware, or into Pennsylvania, they will get a prescription for the medication. They don't necessarily do the same check on other doctors, they're not on the same list that you are in Maryland. So you go over there on a Friday, you show up here on a Saturday, and you're able to get the medications filled, on Friday afternoon in Cecil County, even though you're going out of state. And if you went to a doctor in Maryland, the insurance would be able to say, wait a minute, you were just at another doctor last week, got the same 30 tablets of, Vicodin or whatever, and there's more of a check. So the questions they're looking into are how we are able to do that. And one of the hurdles that came up is, you're out skiing somewhere and you break your ankle, we still want you to be able to get the medication to take care of your broken ankle, so we can't prohibit it totally, but you have to be able to have some way of limiting the amount. And we're thinking, 30 or, pills or something that's limited, so that you can still take care of an emergency that happens while you have Maryland insurance out of state, but that you're not able to have the same abuse of going out of state and then bringing the prescription back here that's currently going on. So there are people looking into that, and we'll continue to look into that at the state levels.
Okay, Mr. Collins, is there anything that you wanted to add on where we're currently at with our monitoring program?
Well, good morning, my name is Ken Collins. I'm the Director for Substance Abuse Treatment with the Cecil County Health Department. It's my understanding that the prescription drug monitoring program is set to go online this January or February. That's my comment to that. I believe it'll be fully operational, is what I've been told, by July or August of this calendar year. Also, respectfully, I wondered if it would be helpful to mention, Councilwoman, when you spoke about drug treatment monitoring for substances in urines,
Right.
I'm wondering if you're referring to OMTs, to methadone treatment specifically. Is that what you're?
I believe so, but I'll admit, I'm not sure if it's just methadone.
Well, let me just say prospectively, at the health department, and I believe most drug treatment programs, we are monitoring for a full spectrum of substances. Barbiturates, benzodiazepines, cocaine, opiates. That is part of our role for our outpatient level 1 treatments as well as level 2 treatments.
Oh, for the health department?
For the health department, per se, yes.
Okay, but also for the drug treatment facilities such as Elton Treatment Center or the Serenity Health?
Frankly, I'm not prepared to speak to that today.
Right, Mr. Forager had shared his concerns with me that that is not the case. And we would need to make sure, okay. I believe.
In regard to the drug treatment, and particularly contract drug treatment facilities, I do support some type of performance-based evaluation of licenses at the state level. That when a licensee is given the obligation to, or given the license to do treatment, if they're really not effective treatments, if they're really not getting the job done, if all they're doing is dispensing drugs and ineffective counseling and the results are not positive, then in my opinion, I would hope that there's a state criteria that you'd lose the license. So, you know, instead of just putting people on methadone, I hope that they get people off of drugs totally, eventually. And I hope that there's some performance standards there, some performance evaluation that the state can do to say, hey, you're not getting people off of drugs, you're just putting them on methadone and continuing this. So I hope that at the state level, there's something there that will get people off the drugs totally and completely, all drugs. And I would hope that whether it's state legislation or state regulations that would make sure that these contract drug treatment providers are not in the business of just perpetuating the drug abuse issue.
Thank you. Councilman Hodge, I appreciate that. And I had spoken to and I don't remember her name, Beth Flower of the state staff program, Maryland state staff. I thought that would be an excellent way to measure performance, if that could be a recommendation.
Another thing that the state's attorney in Harford County brought to us, we've had some terrible car accidents in Harford County. One such one was a woman who had just come from a drug treatment center and I believe she received methadone. And they did not do any type of testing to find out if there were other drugs in her system before she had a methadone treatment. And evidently there were. And combined with the methadone, it created a very tragic situation where people were killed because of that in a car accident. She was incapable of driving, should never have been let out of the drug treatment center after she received her methadone. So that is something that we're looking at as well, because there's a lot of failures that take place when you're not treating people correctly and testing them.
And that would have been possibly the testing of the urinalysis, but also prescription drug monitoring. We received many reports that people are not only taking their methadone, but their drug of choice as well.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
whatever.
It's a
we
problem.
have,
It is a problem.
If we could work together and have a just good communication.
I'll have my state's attorney call your state's attorney.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah, say who you want.
Were there any other comments or questions along with that? And the next item is not on the agenda, but Al asked to kind of address real quickly.
Both Chairman Smeagol and I have had some very preliminary brief discussions with the Cecil County Public Schools relating to some proposed legislation that deals with amending the Education Article 7-804, which would add Cecil County to the provision whereby a school vehicle may be operated for 15 years instead of the current 12 within that provision. Like I said, we've had some preliminary discussions. We will be vetting this through the process and maybe including it as part of our legislative package after it's further vetted with the schools and the council and the executive. I do have some additional copies that Mr. Capper gave me. I can pass out.
Okay, thank you, Al. Are there any other comments pertaining to legislation that anybody would like to add?
I guess I wanted to ask quickly if there, other than what we've discussed here this morning, which is, you know, quite enough, but are there any other unfunded mandates that you folks are aware of which may come down on us here in the legislative session? Are there any changes to the teacher pension situation, or have you heard any rumblings at this point? I realize it's early, but.
I would think that, I'm not aware of any more unfunded mandates right now, but I think that, it'll always be a possibility that they'll decide to withhold funds that you were expecting to get from another source, or to cut back your share of those funds, you know, and so that's been a practice that we've, you know, objected to and fought against, but, and it's very unfair once you set your budget and you turn around and look that you know, you're getting 20% of the highway money that you expected as opposed to 100%, so that's always something that we try to be aware of and try to fight against, but I don't know of any other unfunded mandates that are coming down to you, Senator.
Directly, I think there's gonna be two issues that are have direct impact on Cecil County or be on the plate. The gas tax increase will probably be on the forefront. I just caution those that advocate for it that, those that believe that that's going to lead to the solution of the county getting back their highway user money or significant road projects in Cecil County are going to get built, that the gas taxes would only be increased. You need to be aware that the governor has promised a red line and a purple line in Montgomery and Prince George's County, Baltimore City, and the total cost of those projects is $4 billion. And I sit on the Spending Affordability Committee, and we met. And the legislative staff said there's no money for those projects to move forward in any kind of significant way. Right now, I think the Maryland contribution for this project is pegged north of $700 million. And so the idea is that's already in the queue. Just so you know that while the MDOT was claiming they didn't have any cash to give you your highway user money, the governor did find $120 million over the last 2 fiscal years to move ahead those planning on those two projects. So the real discussion needs to take place about between mass transit and roads. The idea that if the urban parts of the state want these giant mass transit projects, which leave nothing for us to move forward, then maybe they should consider paying for them themselves. And there's been legislation that I've proposed and others to do that. And so maybe I think this year will get some serious impact. But given the nature of our driving habits in the state, that's certainly a significance. And obviously you all have probably read that there's going to be discussion of another increase in the cigarette tax. And again, the idea that, you know, it's kind of interesting to advocates for health when you ask them, well, let's just ban cigarettes. Their response usually is, oh, no, we would kill all the revenue that we get. So the duplicity in that's kind of apparent, but given the fact that we have a significant number of businesses that are border businesses, we've seen a decline in the packaged goods sales and alcohol with the sharp increase in the alcohol tax several years ago. The impact again on people deciding that they'll go elsewhere to get these items, and then they end up buying other items in other states. It became apparent after the last cigarette increase that the state didn't see the revenues that they expected to get because people, some people did change their habits and did quit, but the bulk of them just found another place to buy the items, and that'll have a direct impact, I think, on business activity and revenue, given our multi-state location. So, not direct mandates on that, but two major issues that I think will be in front of the General Assembly.
It actually has become more lucrative to smuggle cigarettes than it is drugs now. They're actually making more money.
On a different subject, I just got an email from Treasurer Cott, you all may have gotten it too, about the money that was, we are going to receive in Cecil County for the county sports complex. Okay, yeah, that was before the Public Works yesterday, and I guess we're getting $142,000.
Anything else?
Oh, I just have one thing, I have not had an opportunity to publicly congratulate you on becoming our first female, well, our first county executive, and then our first female county executive. I know a number of years ago in Harford County, we had Eileen Rearman, and I believe that she was the first female county executive in any area, but it was a job well done, and I wish you much success, as do all of us here.
And I want to thank all of you for coming today. You know, clearly the legislative issues that we have before us are extensive, complex, and we're going to require all of us to work together. And so we appreciate your attendance, your partnership, and for being here today, so thank you.
I'd also like to thank you for coming here to Cecil County and listening to us, and I hope you don't think we're a bunch of whiners, but we have a lot of issues that we face that are very expensive for our citizens, and we appreciate your help. We know that you work really hard every day down in Annapolis, trying to look out for our best interest, and we'd like you to continue doing that for us. And if there's anything that I can do, and I'm sure I can speak for the whole council, that if there's something that we can do to help you, back you up with what you do down there, please call upon us to try to help you out. Thank you. Are we adjourned?
Yes, we're adjourned.